Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to bring an old friend back to the show. Colleen Biggs and I met, pre-COVID. There was life before COVID, probably 5 years before that, at a business conference. And she's really amazing, really inspiring for our audience, for, women over 50 with reinvention. I don't read bios, but there are numbers in her bios and I don't want to mess this up. So over 22 years, she's been a business strategist and a coach. So we're going to talk about, our next steps. Listen to this. Launched over 340 businesses. I'm trying to do the math. We'll talk about that. She's a keynote speaker, has authored 5 #1 international best-selling books. The latest one that we're going to talk about is Step into the Spotlight to Expand Your Influence. This is so cool. 2020 Local Business Person of the Year, 2021 Top 10 Women Business Leaders, and 2023 Most Inspirational Leaders in Business to Watch Out For. So she's a rock star. She's also the CEO of the LEAP community, which is Living Every Day as Purpose, which we're totally going to dive deep on because that's what all women over 50 are doing. She has an amazing podcast and super cool, is a first degree black belt. So, Colleen, welcome to our show.
Christina. I don't think we are giving you enough props and everything you've been able to accomplish. And every time I turn around, you're being interviewed and teaching people how to be interviewed. I love the behind the scenes stuff that you do to show, like, check this out. My computer's sitting on all these boxes and books, and you got to adjust what you need to adjust. I've had that happen. I had a ladder set up in front of me with my computer on a ladder, and I was like, you got to do with what you got.
If you could see right now, because something's wrong with my tripod stand, so it keeps crashing. So I have a smaller one. So I had to move a little coffee table over to get the lights working.
We do what we have to do.
Do it. All right, let's talk about these 340 businesses, because I'm like, all right, if you started when you're 20, that's 10 plus a year.
Yeah, it's like 15. What the heck? It was probably during my prime in the last 22 years, I've launched about 15 businesses a year. Some of those being my own, especially in the last couple of years. My husband and I have started launching more businesses, purchasing more businesses. But I would say, Christy, I'm a very different person today than I was. Talk about reinvention that I was when you and I met. So my love is working with CEOs and founders of their businesses to launch them. So I'm not single-handedly going out there launching, selling. I would tell you that I love that phase of launch and build. Very much what you would call an activator, an implementer. I'm not an in the clouds kind of person where talk about a lot of ideas and talk about, and invent a lot of ideas. I'm like, okay, when you figure that out, get me on board because I'll activate and implement. And that's kind of where my personality lives.
So I love that. And there's so many women listening. We kind of have 2 demographics. Our big demographic is the over 50 woman. And then we have a really quickly growing younger demographic, which really gets me excited. And they send me messages about, how inspiring women like you are to realize, wow, you like, even in the last 5 to 7 years, you've totally shifted what you're doing, that, there's so much ability to really do anything you want. So in terms of what you do, like, I would love to use your expertise and your knowledge to help women listening. So whether they've, retired from corporate, most they stayed home with their kids, but, they had a life in the past, maybe they were part-time, but, now they're empty nesters. Most of us are fortunate enough that, we've got some money set aside. We're not paying for kids anymore. I interviewed Jean Chatsky and she's like, oh, be careful with that raise. Like, don't go spending it all right away. But, so if I want to start a business, I have an idea, kind of walk through the process. Someone who's never been through it.
I'm glad that's like the best question. And I would say we're seeing more and more younger women, just like you talked about, stepping up. Christina, the age range at my retreat last week was 23 to 78. Right?
I love that.
I couldn't believe that I had 23-year-olds, 28-year-olds, 30-some-year-olds, 50-year-olds 76 years old, 78, and they're just as spry and just as smart. And, it doesn't really matter that span of age. When you have an idea, you're excited to, whether it be move out of your parents' house, you're excited to get your own independence. You're excited to be able to spend your time freely, your money freely. This is kind of that younger generation. When we get older, I'm 51, almost 52. I now have 12 grandkids and another one on the way. So, right?
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not, as long as my kids aren't listening, I can say that.
And the younger kids are like, oh my gosh, I haven't even started. I haven't even started thinking about children. I just want to be able to get out on my own. And, this really stemmed from 17 years old, Christina. I moved out of my house at a very early age. I had a very broken house. And I knew at that moment I was going to be responsible financially for myself forever. And I wasn't looking, I had seen a marriage break. I had seen things happen. In that moment, I wasn't looking for a man to marry that was going to, I was going to have babies and not work, which was how I was raised. We have to remember, looking generationally, girls aren't and women aren't raised that way today. They're raised much more independent. And so I knew I needed to be financially independent. I had that drive of knowing I was going to need to make the money. And then from that point forward, every home that I bought, right, I bought the house. And it kind of became this obsession of almost not trusting, possibly, and this isn't healthy, but not trusting another person in that, cohabitation space, if that makes sense. So for me, I meet many, many, many women and men. I've worked and launched businesses with several men. Today, I mainly work with women, but I've coached several men, and they're looking to create a business, a legacy, and something where they're making an impact, right, on a community or whatever it may be. And they want their freedom to be at the bus stop with their kids. They want the freedom to pick them up before or after school. They want the freedom to go on the field trips. They want the freedom to take a family vacation and not have to, lose pay or get that time off. So this crave of the American dream for us to be able to own a business, there's so many benefits, tax benefits, financial benefits, time and freedom benefits. So I really feel like that's the main drive. And when anyone has an idea and something they want to bring out into the world, I go to numbers first. I go straight to the clarity of what it is. And I work on, I think when you know the numbers, it shows the path. So I'm a spreadsheet crazy person. So I know with everything, I'm like, I really want to do this event, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford it based on the costs. I go straight to the spreadsheet, put in costs, put in possibilities for profit and revenue. And then I just start doing the numbers and go, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. I'm going to roll forward with this. So I believe that when we put the numbers together, it does show the path. So that's kind of the first step, is really, what is this idea that you have? And is it something a consumer wants, right? So what problem? We've heard this a lot. What problem are you solving? But so many people don't go through this step of understanding that. And they think, well, anyone out there on TikTok, can solve a problem. Well, you might be solving a problem for someone who is looking to lose weight, but they also want to be able to do it in a healthy way. So they might choose keto, right? And so now this person's talking about keto recipes, and that would be that's great for me because I don't eat sugar or carbs, but I need to learn how to cook with higher proteins. How do I do that? So I might only follow someone that's doing that without meat because I don't eat meat, right? So one demographic is listening to the person who cooks mainly with meat. I'm listening to the one who's doing this with main vegetables. So see how you can break that down to that audience. That was my point.
And that's so important. I talk about that all the time with my clients. They're like, I can serve everybody. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to make a lot more money when you come down to this, what you think is a little market is actually going to be, when you know exactly who your client is and the pain you solve their pain, not what you think their pain is, but what they think their pain is. Having to figure that out is so important. And
I think we forget that, so many women will go out and get certifications and really feel like they have to train. They spend years on their website trying to go to all of these conferences, putting together all their products, thinking they have to have courses or whatever. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And I say that they're like, they get ready and then they stay aiming. They aim and then they aim and then they aim and then they aim. And I'm the firing kind of girl. I'm like, fire already. Just get it out there and fire. You can create a link, for someone to sign up with something without having a web page built. Like, there's so much you can sell that people will buy if they're in pain and you can get them out of that pain. What's keeping them up at night? What is it that, they need? And when we even think about like sticky notes, that took off because it was a need for someone to be able to have a reminder of a note. And that was way before digital, stickies. So everyone has a need. Some people can't tie their shoes. So they need a special type of shoe or a special type of shoelace that doesn't require them to tie it. I don't work in the product sector as much. I don't do online e-commerce. I don't work with a lot of clients that do that. Mine are very service-based entrepreneurs that are providing a service. It might be a nurse or an attorney or a real estate agent, or a coach, or someone in health and wellness, someone that might be a virtual assistant. And building and scaling those businesses are super fun because we have to buy time. How does everybody have 24 hours in a day, yet some people can only get a third of what they need done? What are they missing? What are they not understanding? And Christina, you know this with all the years. You could say something today and I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Your common sense is not my commonplace. And I think we tend to forget that.
I hire coaches too. I've got to get out of my own frame. I've got to get out of my own way. And one of the things you said, I had a coach years ago, and this has stuck with me forever. It's the best piece of advice I ever got. Imperfect action is better than taking no action at all. So just do it. Just do it. You can fix it along the way, assuming you have something that you can fix and solve, a pain point. And that's, these women today. And what I have found in the women that I've interviewed is it's so much more about purpose and passion. And talk about lead, because I feel like that's or leap. I'm sorry.
Leap is about being a leader though. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is about living your purpose. So share more about, why that's so foundational in what you do.
I have found, and you too, you've been to a ton of workshops. We've been to a ton of conferences. The ones we remember, the ones that hit home for us are the ones that made us feel something. Do you agree with that? Like, it made us feel, right? We had an emotion, whether it be the audience and who we connected with that was there, whether it be a moment that we had an aha. Everyone needs to realize that when you're consuming information, you're consuming it through your kind of view, a point of what you need. And so you're seeing it through a different set of eyes than anyone sitting next to you. So when we help other people feel, that is when it's memorable. That is when they move. That's when they are motivated, if that makes sense. Why I created the LEAP community, and years ago, I had started with Lead Up for Women, and that really was a networking connection community. And when I shifted over to the LEAP community, it was like, hey, we've been leading for a long time. When are you actually going to take that leap of faith, right? And do what's deep down that you've always wanted to do and be. You've always wanted to be this version of yourself. And it's not about the have tos, but what are a lot of the want tos? So I want women to get out there and connect on a visual level. I want them to connect on a verbal level so they can be spotlighted. We do a lot of spotlighting of our members. And that's because I feel like when we talk about what we do passionately and it comes out, our listenership feels it, right? They feel that emotion. Yeah. There's a lot of fakeness kind of going on. And I don't think it's because it's on purpose. I think it's based on fear. I'm afraid if I shed every layer and show up exactly the way I've always wanted to be, somebody's going to judge me. Someone's going to tell me I'm not good enough. Someone is going to make fun of me or not buy my service. And then all of a sudden now that's personal. It's like, it's not really personal because it was never about you. It's always about them. Their favorite word is their name, right? So
right.
That's really what the LEAP community is. It's a place where you can build a business along with other women that are building businesses, collaborate, connect, build your social capital. And that's a little different than networking. Social capital is putting people in your life that open doors and offer you opportunities. And I provide this kind of safe and nurturing environment where there's no competition. We're here to share what we know. We're here to help others. And in that transaction, a lot of the times you find your client because they need your assistance and guidance on what you offer, whether it's spiritual or health or business or marketing or branding or whatever that might look like. There's a different business out there that, like you said, along the way, we need different coaches at different seasons. We need different people in our lives at different seasons. And so what season are they at and how can you meet them where they're at? So I think we evoke a lot of emotion because all of us are driven off of the passion. And I feel like as the person kind of driving that bus, it's very important for me to walk the talk and talk the talk and really be out there vulnerably sharing about myself and not being afraid to put it all on the line to show other women that you can do this too. And I promise you, when you do that, you attract more of your clients versus fishing for them because they want to work with you because they just align with your message and what you're saying. So I think that's super important.
Everything you're saying, I love. And I just interviewed somebody. She has a book about pillars of stepping up. And we just talked about 3 of them, but it was empathy, courage, and grace. And I find that third one just so important for, everybody starting a business, anybody in life, but you have to give yourself grace. You've got to, it's okay to fail. It's okay to, ask somebody for help. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but that's why I love that you have a community, because when you're part of a community and versus, when you're an entrepreneur by yourself, when you're first launching, it's a lonely place, and when you don't know where to go and you don't, but when what you provide is so great. So you can fail a little with your network and be okay. There's a net there for you to fall into.
Yeah. And there's really no judgment, immediately if someone is struggling. I've seen the community really rally around them. They've sent them cards and, reach out via email and text. And you can just feel the kind of love, we're all there serious because we're growing our businesses. But in the same moment, I find that the women in the community have so much success because they're not afraid by being supported to kind of get out there and lead with their heart. And, I say a lot, I do numbers and I love numbers and that's how I put things together, but I still start and create from my heart. And I really believe that that's a strength of a leader to do that. No one wants to listen to someone who's just scripted and jabbering and going on and on about them or their success or you're like, stop talking to me about what you've done. Talk to me about how I can do this for myself. How do I relate to what you're saying? And how do we help the viewer or the listener realize and connect the dots on how it's possible for them? And that's kind of a lost thing these days, Christine. I believe that so many people want to just flood content that they forget that there's this connection piece and the connection is so much stronger.
Oh, people don't get it. They really don't. And it's, if I get one more LinkedIn connection, boom, bye for me. Like, who are you? Right? Everyone, if you're starting your business, don't connect with people on LinkedIn and think they're going to buy on a message right when you hit accept. Like it's automated.
My favorite is when they sell you, Christina, on what you do. They're like, Have you ever wanted to, more clients? Have you ever wanted to make more money? Have you ever dreamed of being able to scale your business? I'm like, I always will write back, did you read my profile? Because I'm pretty sure a lot of my profile says that same thing.
I don't. I do get that. Have you ever dreamed of being in the media? Well, yeah, I'm there regularly and I help people do it. They're like, for a small fee, we only charge you when we place you. I'm like, well, I can do it for free. So,
Yeah.
But, drives me crazy.
Imagine if somebody, were to connect with you, Christina, and say, I see you all over the media. You're fantastic. I mean, how did you learn to do all this? Right. And then then right then you're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Know about me.
Yeah. And then
everybody cares about themselves. Yeah, exactly.
What's in it for me?
I would say show them the love.
Yeah.
Show them the love. Okay. So you talked about starting at 17. There's a lot that happens between 17 and 51. How did you get here? I mean, you left home at 17. That's a pretty big deal. And then, and I don't know if you went to college or you just started working, and you're talking about buying and selling businesses. And there's a big gap here that I'd love for you to fill in a little bit.
I was a survivor. That's what I knew how to do, was survive. And again, some of these things that I've gone through, I don't wear them like a badge of honor. It is basically what I needed or forced to do to survive. I've been homeless. I've been a single mom. I've had, I've never been afraid to get a job, work hard, work my way up a corporate ladder. And I always wanted people to give me a chance, because I did start going to college, but I thought I wanted to go for medical. I couldn't afford it. And so I really just needed to work to survive. That was kind of the rotating of where I was. But I knew that I was not afraid to do anything, try anything, and learn something. So when I would go into an interview, they would say, why should we hire you? And I'm like, there won't be anyone ever more dedicated or work harder than I do. I can learn anything. Just give me the chance. And if I don't worry about it, right? You can show me the door. And I've always excelled in everything I've ever done because I put my mind to it. And there really wasn't another option. When you're in survival mode, you have to burn the other boats because there's no option. You can't teeter on, well, if this doesn't work, I could go back and live with my parents. Well, if this doesn't work, I could go back and there was no going back for me to anything. So I really didn't have a choice. And then it was probably at 36 years old, that was a pinnacle point for me, Christina. I was working my way up the corporate ladder, becoming a director, an executive, at a company, and you earn more respect, right? But I was getting further and further away, I felt like, from the meaning, from the people, from the day-to-day that I loved. And I had decided at that point that I had lived my life a lot. My father had passed away. I really wasn't talking with some of my family anymore. I lost a lot of what I thought was my identity. Our family is connected to our identity. And at that point, it was like, I'm telling all these people are telling me, you need to be this way, and here's this label, and you're this and you're that, right? And I've been called a bull in a china shop, and I've been called all kinds of names that are really rude, that hurt my feelings. But I allowed those labels to stick. And I think at 36, I kind of shook it off. Like, it's time for me to grow up. It's time for me to develop as an adult and figure out, like, what do I like? I had kids, 2 kids. And so everything was about the kids. And I had lost sight of like who Colleen was. So I started this personal development journey. And it was the best thing I ever did. Anyone out there listening, you've got to understand you. You've got to really work on yourself. You've got to work on your leadership. You need to work on just developing you personally and getting rid of, I was like a Sherpa. I carried around so much baggage from parents and grandparents and cousins and other people. And I blame myself for a lot of stuff. And it's very, very heavy. And I do think it's what causes a lot of mental health issues that we have today. So I went to therapy. I did a lot for myself, right? And I'm not talking about get my hair done, do my nails, get a massage. I did a lot of inner work on myself. And that created freedom for me from a lot of what was holding me down. So now I wasn't really scared to take leaps, So that was when I met my husband that I'm married to today. We've been married a long, long time. Obviously, I'm in my 50s. I was in my 30s. We did martial arts together to become a black belt. That was another piece to move me mentally and physically past what I think was capable. I finally had somebody in my life that loved me for me, and hearing about my family and the brokenness and grandparents that weren't around, I really didn't have a connection to my family of being loved. And so having this person like changed the world for me because that person loved me for me. When you have people, and this is why I wanted to make this point, surrounding you that love you for you, that fuel your success, that are there because they want to be there, those are the people you want to keep close because you can safely become a better version of yourself easily, believe in yourself. And that is where your true success comes in. That's when people get attracted to you, money comes easily because you're living in the way that you were meant to live, the way God had created you really to be. We just kind of hide it all with all the damage that's happened throughout our whole life. So that was the really big shift for me. And at that point, my husband was building his own business. Again, he was scared to be an entrepreneur, build his own business. I was there to support him through that. So when he became a better version, grew his business, that I took a huge leap knowing this was a lot to leave corporate, but I'm going to do it because I believe in myself. And he couldn't support everything at that point. But I would tell you that it was easier for me not having to provide everything for the family, right? To be able to leave at that point. And I just knew as soon as I hit the ground running, I would do what was necessary because of my survivorship training, that I would do what I needed to be able to build the business. And I did. And my entire business is built on failures.
Isn't that the truth? And I always said to my husband, because I've always been an entrepreneur, and he met me as an entrepreneur. And then we got married and it was kind of like, well, aren't you going to get a job? I'm like, well, no, because this is what I've done. But I used to always say, but I'm young enough and smart enough. I can go out and get a 6-figure corporate job. Don't worry about it. Well, now I'm 56. And I mean, now we're fine. I've been doing this a long time. But it's like, I don't think I can fall back on that corporate job idea anymore. So I've got to keep reinventing this. But I've done so much reinvention just in my 50s.
Yeah.
You're right. But surround yourself by people who support you. And I get nervous. I put things out on social like that I'm excited about. But people are so nice. I got an Instagram message from a guy I went to high school with who's like, don't take this wrong. He's like, I'm just really proud of you. Like, you've just really, I was like, I just thought that was sweet, that I haven't seen him since, we're 17 years old. But so there are a lot of good people out there that do build you up. And you're right. Break away from the toxicity, surround yourself with the people who lift you up, especially now, especially as you become empty nesters and you don't have the kids to fall back on or the kids events or the parents at the kids events. You really have to build your own, what's your social network? What's your business, your philanthropy, whatever. You don't have to go back to work, but if you're going to volunteer, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, we are reinventing ourselves again because we really feel like we just, we're in that second half of our lives, because I plan on living to 100. So second half of our lives. Yes. And now I feel that for us, we are looking at our legacy. So we want to be able to spend more time with the grandkids. So we are really only focused on things that provide assets, for those assets to provide income. And my husband and I are essentially right now working to provide that income for those assets, to provide that income, because we want to be able to choose and not trade, not have to chase money and be trading time for money consistently, but choose that. And, when you are an empty nester, you do travel a little bit more. Now you have the grandkids and you want to spend more time with them and enhance their life, right? And be there for them. And when you have 12, sometimes you're at 5, 6, 7 games, a weekend, and supporting them. And your whole weekend is family and grandkids. So that's the way we want our lives, but we don't want to be feel like we're pulled one way. So I think you need to constantly be reinventing yourself, Christine, and looking at the future and saying, if I want my future to look like this, what are the steps I need to take today to make that happen? And I don't think anyone our age is really talking much about retirement anymore. I mean, maybe corporate America and people that are in corporate America are, but the businesses aren't set up to provide the money, the Social Security, the Medicare, all of that is unstable. So with it being unstable, I feel like if you retire, you expire. So we're just moving into a new part of our lives, and we really want to draw it out and design it to look like the way we want to. And I'm going to encourage anyone over 50, you still have half your life left. And now you're smart enough to know what to do with it, right? Now we're smart enough.
And that's so true. Yeah. So true. And I've interviewed people in the health space, and that's actually a real thing. Like women our age, taking care of ourselves, should live well into our 90s.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But you're right. We're just starting. It's like we're babies. I read that we are the healthiest, the wealthiest, and the most fit demographic ever in history.
I believe
which is pretty
that.
Cool.
Yeah. I focus big time on my health. My money goes into the food I buy, the supplements. Like, we spend our money on the health factors versus the medical side of it, because I really feel like you're doing one or the other. You're either investing in your health now, or you're going to be investing in the medical that has to take care of your health later. And we want to run with our grandkids. We want to have that excitement and that energy and that fun and be able to keep up with them and, be playful with them. And I really do know that the more we surround ourselves with those types of laughter and fun and play, it keeps us young. It keeps our bodies young. So.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you forever. So fun and so empowering for women. So before we wrap up, how can people find you if they're thinking about this next chapter? How do they find Colleen Biggs?
I think the easiest way, you can Google my name and there's no other Colleen Biggs that comes up. I think I've wiped them all off the face of Google. But ColleenBiggs.net is so easy to find me. Again, if you forget, just type my name into Google. But LinkedIn is a great place to connect with me. You can type my name in and connect with me there. Pretty much all my profile pictures show me, doing like a karate chop kick. It kind of shows my bad attitude. But I also feel like we can kick fear to the curb and really reinvent and become anybody we desire to be. But you have to just surround yourself with the people that are going to help you be a better version of yourself moving forward. It's just, it's happy. I'm happy. And I don't know if a lot of people can say that,
I feel the same way too. I have kept my word of the year for the last 3 years is joy. Like, if you don't bring me joy, I don't want to hang out with you.
That's right.
I'm going to be joyful. Okay. So we wrap up every show with the same 2 questions. I know you're just getting into your 50s, so we can say your late 40s too, but what's the greatest thing you've accomplished kind of at this phase in your life?
Oh my gosh. I think the greatest thing I've really accomplished is just really leaning into being happy and having joy in my life. I can't say that in the past I've truly been happy. I've just tried to go through the motions, but I really am happy because I don't make a decision. I've given myself the permission to not make decisions that I don't want to make. And so life is way easier. Way easier.
Oh, I love that. And then where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh, that's a great one. So in 10 years, my husband and I we will then have enough property that passes our income today. So we'll have passive income for life. So I see the next 10 years really being choice for my husband and I to choose what we do and where we spend our time. And just creating more of those memories, the legacy, and that family time, and really being able to serve where we've been wanting to serve, and just more of that freedom.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining me today. That's certainly This is a great, empowering topic for the women listening. All our reinventions happening.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.